Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode inside of the beta world. For those of you who are returning, I apologize for the long hiatus. It's an interesting phenomenon. When summer starts, you expect to have more free time, but yet here I am, busier than I was before. But that's okay. Trying to get back into the swing of things. Not entirely sure what specifically I'm going to do this episode, but there is one very pressing concern. A specific commenter, I actually don't know their name. This particular commenter is named 000 the Matthias 000, brought up a very good idea. In the last episode, I was planting trees for the orchard and having this trouble where I believe I saw one over here while I was wandering. Yes, trees are growing and they're too short to walk under. They're only one block tall. So of course then I have to go through and get rid of them and replant them in the hopes that they grow back tall enough. Now, the interesting idea that this commenter had was that you can just place some blocks beside the sapling and it will grow tall enough to grow past the blocks. And I'm inclined to believe that will work because I know there are several tree farm designs that use a pattern similar to this in order to guarantee tall trees. So, I got some bone meal, I've got some stone, and we're about to see if it works. Well, that answers that question. With one bone meal, too. This is actually quite a nice tree. I'm almost tempted to leave it, but I will not. So that's pretty cool, either way. I'm glad that that works. Thanks for pointing that out, the Matthias. And I guess that means it's time to go around and place a little bit of stone. And that should be the last one. So hopefully now, the fruits of my labor will be some larger trees that are tall enough that I can just walk through the forest with ease. There was a very nice spot over here that I saw that definitely was like encapsulated the feeling I wanted when I walked through the forest. I'm not sure where it was, honestly. I've gone and lost it. Ah, that's okay. It's time to sleep anyways. But no, hopefully the fruits of my labor, no pun intended, will show themselves here shortly as these trees grow. On another note, for those of you who weren't here in the previous episodes, there is a small little entrance here where I have not done the terrain, and that is very intentional. I have a cool plan for this area down here. I want to, you know, this is an orchard. Of course, there's trees, but I don't want to constantly be cutting down the trees and then having to deal with placing stone next to them and everything. So, ideally, I'm going to make an underground tree farm. And there will be several layers so that each layer can be a different species of tree, you know, oak, birch, and spruce. Um, which should be pretty interesting. Conveniently, a lot of this is already, um, I wouldn't say dug out, but more so just kind of placed underneath my hill facade. So it works out that it's going to be much less digging, still a lot of digging, but much less than I would have had to do otherwise, which is quite cool. So I'm figuring the cave is going to sort of wrap around a little bit and then kind of meet in this central area where there's, you know, already a good bit of the terrain dug out. So I suppose I will get to work on that sooner rather than later. And we'll get rid of that cow, so hopefully there won't be a bunch of weird, strange, high-pitched animal noises in the time-lapse. Although I'm sure that that's going to be ultimately unavoidable. Well, I wanted to take a brief intermission to do a little planning, but it seems I get to do a little rebuilding as well. As if it were never to have happened. Anyways, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, there is a little planning to be done, because I don't actually know how large I want to make each of the little, like, tree growing sections. I'm thinking, like, 5 trees by 5 trees, because then it's, like, 25. That's, like, my best bet, I suppose. So if I were to do every 3, and then have let's say I have three from the wall, just to keep it even. So that's a block there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 18 and 5, 23. 23 blocks. That's not too bad. I think I can work with that. Because then it'll also be 3 in that direction, at the very least. And because then, ideally, when the tree grows, if this were, you know, a theoretical oak tree, the leaves would probably be out 2 blocks. So I would still have sightline down it, which would be quite nice. So I think that works. I think 5 by 5 works. Unless I do it A non-square? Like a 5x3? Or a 5x4? That seems just slightly rectangular, so it's not all squares. That seems reasonable. I actually think I like that. Because then we can do the math again. We've got like... Well, that tree over there, it's probably five logs in that tree. On average, I suppose. So 5 times 4, that's 20. 20 times 5, that's 100. 100 logs. Each harvest. I mean, I think that's pretty good for me. Yeah, I think that should be okay. If I ever need more than 100 logs, I'm doing a larger project that's going to require extended time anyways, so I'm not going to mind having to come back several times for, to collect from the tree farm. But no, that should work excellently. Those of you watching closely may notice that we have broken through the dirt on the other side of this hill, which, yeah, not great, not ideal when you're trying to stay underground. But fortunately, man, oh man, that's a lot of cobblestone. Fortunately, this part of the hill is going to eventually be covered by the hill facade. Oh joy. One creeper incident is enough for each episode. Just one, no more. But, I'm actually concerned at how far this is going to stick out. This goes to negative 780. Because from the ground floor, I can assume... say 7 blocks of clear... Oh my... Cutting it a little close. It might need to be 6, or I need to lower the whole thing by 1. An interesting dilemma. Perhaps, instead of lowering it all by 1, it's a lot of pickaxes. Instead of lowering it all by 1, I should just, instead of making this little cave go up, I'll instead make it go down, and then make, dig up another block and make that top level the top of the farm. I think that might need to be what I do, because this is cutting it quite close. Hadn't quite considered that. At least it's day now. Well, there it is. What was a probably relatively short and edited down time lapse for you was probably about a little under an hour. Definitely a fun little way to kill time. Definitely killing the time. That was very, yeah, that's how I felt while doing this. Very draining, but you know, that's okay. I think it'll all be worth it in the end when this is done. See if I don't get suffocated again. Nope. There we go. But no, I think this works out. It definitely a good recovery, changing the slope of the cave. This'll easily be covered by the hill. I guess what's next is to carry along this little cave area and do the two other sections. So, I don't know, I might do a time lapse for those two. Probably a even more even heavier handed with the editing than I was with this last one. Because this took quite a bit of time, and I'm sure that it's going to take up a lot of the video, which isn't necessary. You know how it looks when it gets mined out now, so I think I've got a pretty good idea of what I'm going to do, but there is one more little experiment I want to do. So if I were to have a slab like there, and then the roof, which is... I apparently need more cobblestone than that. The roof is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's the roof. Will it grow in such a way that I can easily get to it? Okay, so it has the chance of spawning a 4-block tall if I don't have it 2 blocks up. So now the question is, if I were to really curate it and have the 2 blocks here, or perhaps, you know, just a floating block, would it play nicely to my expectations? Let's see if I have any bones. I do. Oh, not enough. I return with bones. Hopefully a sufficient amount to grow the tree. Or these parameters. Nope, they're not. Look at that. Okay, that's interesting though, because I believe in this version, bone meal is guaranteed to work first try. Like when you use it on wheat, it doesn't partially grow it, it fully grows it. So what that tells me is that when the tree is trying to grow, I think it tries, like what would be an incompatible growth pattern for this setup. Like say, you know, the leaves would come out here because it's only one tall. So then it doesn't count that growth tick, but it still, you know, processes it. So I think the tree farm is going to take longer to grow the trees, but they'll be far more to my liking. It honestly might be worth, rather than ensuring they're, you know, such an amount tall, just make sure that they're not too tall to grow like the branched trees. Like over here, you can see that I had the too tall, and so it interpreted that as growing a larger tree. I don't want those. Those are inconvenient to harvest. So, yeah, that'll do. I think that the quote-unquote inefficiency that it introduces in, you know, losing out on logs because it's not growing as tall as it could within the given space, I think that that's probably outweighed by the inefficiency of lost growth opportunities because it would obstruct this block, or be obstructed by the block. So I think I'm just gonna go with that in terms of my tree farm design theory. As for where I'm going to put the other chamber, I decided that I was going to put it right around here in this general area, and probably have it be 1 or 2 blocks higher than this one, and only a couple blocks away. But because of that, this will have enough room to, you know, do its whatever it does and reach this. Because, thank you, cave sound. It might be all the way over here, but the highest layer is only here, so I'm not gonna reach that. So I might actually have to make it lower by a block than this one. Well, I don't have to, but I will. But that's that. So hopefully I'll actually be able to make use of, you know, some of the space that I've already dug out. Less so over here. I don't think it's actually going to provide much benefit, if any at all. But hey, I mean, it's a little bit that I don't have to dig out, so you take what you can get. Either way, either I'm going to jump cut to it being finished, or I'll show you a little bit, you know, tiny little snippets of what's going on. However I choose to edit it. We'll see. I figured the best thing to do would probably be to just kind of make an outline to get an idea of where, you know, where it's going to land. And you can see pretty well that there is actually a good sizable chunk of area that's going to be already sort of cleared out. Because up to till I can't reach anymore, so to there, up 5 blocks, 6 blocks, is where it's going to be. So this little cave that was here is going to kind of be assimilated into the into what is going to be a larger cave now. And I think it's going to work out quite nicely. Another chamber of the tree farm is done. It's definitely quicker than this one, but also almost in a way not. With all the tool switching I had to do between the dirt and the stone, I guess not that I needed to do, but that I like to do, use the right tool for the right job. Um, with all the tool switching, probably added a considerable amount of time. You think it takes like, maybe a second each time you do it, but you do it how many times and it adds up. So, but no, I mean, overall, looks really nice. Looks like an empty box waiting to be filled with something. Almost as if that's what it is. How odd. So now we get to tackle the challenge of bringing this down to the right level. Because even over here, it had to go down 2 blocks, and now this has got to go down 3. So it's got to do so quickly. And I believe I've dug enough that when I break through this wall, get some light here, make it a little brighter for you, that when I dig through this wall, it should just be the tree farm. Like that. Perfect. We'll do that. Leave it a little cramped for this section. And perhaps what I do is kind of incorporate the tree farm into the cave. And then have it carry on its curve in this direction. So then the next chamber of the tree farm is going to be the spruce trees. Because I'm imagining that's oak, this will be birch, and the one that's going to be, the deepest in the ground will be spruce, because that's going to be the easiest to help kind of accommodate the height, because spruce trees are going to need to be much taller. So yeah, that's quite nice. Now, as for prettying this cave up, it's really just going to be a matter of kind of working out the shape of this part of the cave. I want to work in some, like, quote-unquote finished elements where, like, it looks like there was once a structure here. Perhaps this cave was inhabited at some point. So, like stone arches or something of that sort. That's what this straightaway hallway is for. And then, kind of making it seem like it's not just a giant empty cube dedicated to tree farming. Kind of explain away the strange nature of this cave in implied lore. I say that with a big question mark. I don't know if it's really going to be lore more than it is like just sort of what do they call that? Environmental storytelling. That's what it is. So suppose in the meantime, I'll swap out these blocks underneath the torches with dirt, because it's going to be dirt anyways. And I don't actually know if I want to maybe make the floor grass. I think that might look quite neat. Maybe, you know, vary it a little bit from chamber to chamber. But I think it would make sense if the trees are being planted, that it's on, you know, surrounded by grass. Because it would not make sense for a tree to just kind of grow out of the stone. I think as, once I get the spruce, what was I calling these, chambers? Once I get the spruce chamber dug out, I can really kind of focus on the stylization of everything, making it look pretty. And I'm sure that's where the ideas will flow and it all comes together. One more thing that I think I'm going to do, and that I'm going to mention to explain it, and also so that I kind of have it in recording to look back on, and I'll be like, oh, what was that cool thing I was thinking of? I can just look at the recording. Is kind of making the cave almost like a circle, so that you can go down here, and when you go down to the birch area, you'll continue towards the spruce area, and then the spruce area will make its way up to, you know, say here-ish. So that if I want to get to the spruce area, I can real quickly just go straight there instead of having to go all around. And I think it'll be cool just because it's kind of cool. Helps that it adds functionality, but I mean, mostly because it's cool. After what was a fair amount of playing around with the shape, I've got a cave that I quite enjoy. Ooh. Let's take care of that. Oh, lovely. Anyways. Really caught me off guard. Yes, I've got a cave that I'm quite pleased with. This is, of course, the little cave part I was talking about in the last clip, I believe. And comes down, and the spruce will probably be right here, probably down another block or two. And can see that it circles around to where the birch is going to be. I really need to light up that area. And then up to where the oak is going up to be. It isn't there yet. And then up here, I actually really like how this is going to turn out. Accidentally kind of like ran up into the floor here when I was digging up, but I actually don't think that that's a bad thing. I think it's going to make for quite a neat looking cave. I'm going to have like this little, you know, side route. And then this, I think I'm going to make into a similar sort of pillar thing that this over here is. And kind of have it arch over to this. And of course have it meet with the cave wall over here. And I figured just for a little fun, we'd have like an indent in the cave right there, just to give it some more shape. But no, I mean, I'm really liking how this is going to turn out. Now it's just a matter of digging out another large hole, and this one's actually probably going to end up being larger to accommodate for the taller height of the spruce trees. I actually don't know how tall spruce trees are. But I guess it can always be expanded later. So it occurred to me that I had spent several episodes building this railway over to the area over here that just so happens to be very, very close to a snowy forest. So, why not take advantage of it? So, let's do some counting. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's looking like 9's gonna be the number. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. Either 9 or 10. Probably just go with 9. Should work fine. And like that, we're on our way back. So, as I've been digging this out, something interesting occurred. I came across the staircase down to one of the caves I found. And we're all the way out here, which is quite cool. It's neat to see how it kind of all links up. But more importantly, it actually gave me a frame of reference. Originally, the quote-unquote ground level of this chamber was right here and here, these 2 blocks. So if I would have gone up the 7 blocks, it would have been to right about here, I think, if I counted that correctly. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, right here. So it would have been cutting it quite close to the surface. So instead, we've only got to go up 5 blocks now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we've still got 2 blocks here, but we've got 3 blocks where it counts, which is right around here, where the room down there starts. Time for the big reveal. A bigger cave. Very interesting, I know. This actually worked out quite well. I'm not going to need to do much tweaking to the shape of the cave, or at least the cave coming into here. Because it's already relatively smooth for what it is. But, yeah, here it is. Took a good bit of time. But, you know, in the end, I knew that would be the case. And now the hard part's out of the way. Unfortunately, that's probably all that we have time for in this episode. But what that does mean is that next episode is going to be very, very fun as I get to go through and pretty up the caves and the tree growing chambers, which should be interesting and hopefully should occur in a far more timely manner than the space between this video and the last. Of course, if you are still watching, I appreciate your viewership. If you liked the video, feel free to like it. If you didn't, dislike it. And if you really liked it, feel free to subscribe. Either way, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you have any interesting ideas to add on to this, or, perhaps not even related to this, feel free to put them down below. And I wish you the best in your day to day.